Get up to C, man. C straight away.
Oh wow. Look at them.
Roadkill.
Dude, that's...
What? No kill? I didn't get any with that strafe. They get on top. Keep doing exactly that. Oh Jesus. Dude, stay on the cap, stay on the cap, we can get this guy. Go over the top again. Heli back.
Dude, that's going on YouTube. God damn! Holy
Gosh.
shit.
Hi guys, and welcome to the final attack helicopter guide that I'm going to make for Battlefield 4. We've been through a load of different tips and tricks over the past year or so, and I feel that this is the last video I can meaningfully make on the attack helicopter before Battlefield 4 inevitably drops in player numbers and we start to move over to Battlefield 1. Whether we stay over at BF1 is a completely different matter. We don't know how good that game's going to be, but after this video I'll probably have enough out there that covers absolutely everything on the attack heli for you guys. So I'm going to split this video up into 3 different parts. One, just some general tips and tricks, stuff that you may not even know this late into the game's life. 2, we're going to take a look at the pilot and some things that you can do in order to get yourself better at the game. And 3, we're going to look, of course, at the gunner, the thing that I'm most experienced at, and I'll share a couple of tips and tricks for you guys, and leading mainly towards how to get those big kill streaks and hit some more of those TVs. I'll also be linking some previous videos on screen as well that will explain different things in more detail, so you can just click on that on the screen. There'll be a little annotation for you mobile users. You can go down in the description and click on that as well. So starting out with some general tips and tricks. Loadouts we've obviously seen before, but I'll put a couple of screenshots up for you now just so you can be 100% sure on what you need to be running. Too many times I'm running into people who either aren't running Extinguisher as a gunner or aren't running the tow missile as a pilot. Even heat seekers, people are using them even more nowadays, and I have no idea why, because the tow missile's a one-hit kill, and if you learn to aim with that thing, it can be really, really effective. It's also essential if you're taking out ground targets, especially on some of the vanilla maps like Dawnbreaker and Shanghai, where there are loads and loads of ground targets and even an AA gun in some cases that you have to get out of the way. Another really, really important tip is make sure you're on comms. It's a simple one, but too often I run into helicopter teams that aren't on comms with each other, and I say teams, this is more of a public thing to a helicopter pilot and then they've picked up a gunner, but they're not on comms with each other, and it's the simple things. Say you're playing on Shanghai and the towers come down and it's really dusty, the pilot can't see any TVs that are coming his way, and the gunner can just say there's a TV coming. You've seen it in my videos before, and then the pilot just clicks down on his keyboard, dodges to the side. Even if he can't see it, chances are he's going to dodge it, and little things like that really do make the difference to you. Third tip for you, make sure that you pick your map accordingly. I get a lot of complaints, especially to be honest coming from myself, that the AA is way too overpowered on this game, and although I don't think it's massively overpowered in terms of its damage, I do think its range is ridiculous. So you've got a map such as Golmud Railway, it's completely destroyed because the AA can camp in base and shoot across the map. Now I'm not saying you shouldn't play on Golmud Railway, but I am saying if you don't have a team to back you up or you don't have some squad mates, stick to maps that you can play either individually or as a pair. Shanghai is of course the perfect helicopter map. It is really, really suited towards the heli. There's so much cover and it's just an epic map to be playing on in the attack helicopter. Other really nice ones to play in the vanilla game mode would definitely be Dawnbreaker, as long as you keep an eye on the AA gun, and then I would possibly have a look at Golmud if you have some tankers on your team or if you have a jet pilot on your team, because they can help you out. In terms of DLC maps, a couple of the final stand ones are nice. I really do like playing on Hammerhead, but the helicopters can be a little trickier to get hold of because they don't spawn as on flags as such. And again, I've played a couple of China Rising games, but it seems to me that anything outside of the vanilla game just tends to have too much spam on it, and I'm not sure whether that's intended from DICE, but that's why people stick to Shanghai with the attack helicopter, because it's one of the only maps that doesn't have an AA gun and tends to work pretty well when you're dodging the heat seekers and stuff like that. One final little tip I'd like to add, and I've noticed this with my friend, he was dying quite a lot from needless things. So, you know, he was getting shot by tanks, he was getting hit by heat seekers and stuff like that, hit by stingers, and there was really no need for it because the guy had really good accuracy. We'd go on nice kill streaks all the time, but it's the little things that you can add to your game, and I've seen this with a lot of pilots. They fly really low. There's absolutely no need to fly low as an attack helicopter team. You can fly virtually as high as you want and make sure you've always got a bit of cover to go behind. If you're getting locked as well, it's not always necessary to pop ECM. You can, if you've got a bit of cover, fly behind cover, and that'll save you. You have to bear that in mind when you're playing. Your countdown on your ECM is obviously a big factor to whether you stay up in the air and help your team and you're not hiding behind a building the whole time. So making sure you've got a bit of cover so people can't lock you in the first place. A simple thing in theory, but it can be quite tricky, and the best pilots are the ones that manage to virtually fly without using ECM at all, because they're jumping between buildings all the time. Of course, on some maps like Golmud you have to use your ECM, but again, it's when you push and when you don't, and that's the trick to staying alive and getting as many kills as possible. So the next part of the video, I want to look at some piloting tips. I'll link on screen now a video to my original tow missile guide. However, that was a long time ago and things have changed a fair bit since then. Most notably, the reticle has changed on the tow missile. Now, that doesn't really change the way the tow missile flies, but there are a couple of things that you can do in order to help yourself out. First of all, make sure that you are using the tow missile itself to guide the shot. Don't use the reticle. The reticle is only there if you're firing a shot at, say, something that's directly in front of you and not moving, like a tank or something, and even then, just use the missile. It's a lot easier. Secondly, don't do massive jerky movements. It's really difficult to hit a helicopter in the distance unless you've got to grips with the movement of the heli, and the best way to start that out is to make sure you lead your shot before you fire it and then just guide it gently towards the target. Now, what I mean by this is, imagine you're firing a tank shell out of your heli, so the missile isn't going to be able to be moved. Now, when you do that, you'll find that your shot is already going in the general direction of your target, and it means that you'll have less to do and less movement to make in the helicopter when you're firing your tow, and it is actually easier to hit your shot that way. Also, if you're firing at something straight in front of you, make sure that you're clicking S on your keyboard and moving just a small bit to guide your shot straight in front of you. You can try this out in the test range. Actually, it seems a bit silly to go back in the test range this late in the game, but it can be really useful to shoot tow missiles at all of the UAVs you see in the test range, and it will help you out a lot. I did try that out myself just to get to grips with what sort of accuracy and what sort of movements I need to be doing. Another tip for the pilot: if you have got a gunner with you and you're on comms and you're finding that your gunner's not being that accurate, the chances are it's not actually their fault, it's your fault as the pilot. And that seems ridiculous, okay, because gunning, in all honesty, isn't as difficult as being a pilot. But if you are a pilot and you have a tendency to move around just a little bit with your mouse or your keyboard when you're flying, your gunner's going to miss virtually all their shots. You can see it in some people's gameplay. It looks like their 30mm accuracy is awful on infantry, but in fact it is usually because the pilot is moving. The simple way to fix this as a pilot: when you're flying and your gunner's about to shoot something, let go of everything. Don't use the keyboard, don't use the mouse. If you need to turn, if you need to move, do an actual movement to fix the problem. Don't do little adjustments. That way your gunner will kill the target a lot faster and you can move on. And if you get that clicking, if you get it working, you've seen some of my kill streaks and they just, you know, the kills come so quickly. You can get 4 or 5 people with one magazine and then the pilot's moving on, and you've killed everybody before they've even got a chance to lock onto you, and it works really well. That again brings it back to that point: you have to be on comms with your gunner to make sure this works. Another quick tip for you, and this one is related to Dawnbreaker and Shanghai mainly. If you are a pilot and you're struggling with lock-ons and things like that, there are several different routes you can take around the map to sneak up on somebody who is locking you. I see a lot on Shanghai, pilots who are getting locked out of the base, fly directly at Charlie, hit ECM straight away and don't have enough time to kill anyone on top of Charlie and then have to fly away and hide. The better way to go about it is to fly around the back of the map, sneaking around the back of the map, and then out of nowhere you peek in, and they don't even know where the helicopter is and you're taking them out. Another way to get yourself off the map, in fact, is to jump out and back in of a heli as you're flying, kind of like the seat switch that, again, I'm going to link on screen for you now because that's another really important thing you need to be able to do in the attack helicopter. If you jump out and jump back in as the pilot, you will be unspotted on the map, and then you can fly up and do the damage you need to do to whatever stinger or camping enemy, whatever it is you need to kill. It's a really good way, and you'll see my pilots doing it a lot. I've even started to do it a little bit. Just make sure you don't actually jump out of the helicopter in the dead zone, because that can be pretty devastating for your kill streak. The final set of tips I'm going to go through in this video revolve around the gunner and how you can be as effective as possible. Again, on screen I'm going to link my gunner guides. I think I've got 2 out at the minute that go over everything you need to have in order to be effective as a gunner. Again, we saw the loadout at the beginning of the video. There are a couple of things that I'd like to add though from the last couple of guides, and this mainly revolves around ammo management and use of your big map. Now, ammo management is a big one. If you're on a quick spawn server, and by this I mean the helicopters are spawning faster than they usually would because the admins changed the settings of the server, you need to make sure you always have a TV and 30mm ready to go. A good way of conserving ammo with your TVs obviously is just not to fire them, but with your 30mm it's a little more difficult because you have a tendency as a gunner to shoot everything you see, and if you're playing on Dawnbreaker or Shanghai, you're going to see loads of stuff you got to shoot. Now, a way of getting by this is to tell your pilot that you're conserving ammo, and then when you're coming to a flag, say like Alpha or Echo or something like that, and you need to shoot the people who are on the flag, you do an extra bit of movement around the building, kind of do a circle around the building. By the time you get back, you've usually picked up 30 more bullets. It seems really, really simple that, but all the time people are running out of ammo, and then you get pushed. Something always surprises you. On Battlefield, you always get pushed by another heli or a jet or something, and then you've got nothing to shoot them with. So finding a little route to take in the helicopter when you're running out of ammo, almost going back to base sometimes and flying back, is a really useful one instead of just staying out in the open with no bullets. Using your big map is also incredibly important. Bind it to a key that you can use freely. I have it on M and I can easily click that. I think that's just the normal button. Some people change it to tab instead of scoreboard. Some people change it to a button on their mouse. That completely depends on what you want to do. When you have it at easy reach, you just tap it and you can see where all the enemies are on the map, or the spotted ones at least, and that way you never miss out that glorious moment when there are 10 campers on a roof and you've missed it because you haven't looked at your big map. It's always important just to keep checking that. You can also see the attack helicopter sometimes. You can see where the tanks are, the majority of tanks are on the map, and if you're losing flags. It's a really important one. Simple again, but something that a lot of people don't use. Finally, we'll take a look at my mouse sensitivity. At the minute I'm running on 800 DPI and about 18% sensitivity. For my infantry, I actually can't remember what, it's still 800 DPI, I can't remember my sensitivity exactly. If you're thinking that my TVs are slightly faster than your TVs or something like that, I'm not really too sure why that might be. You can have a fiddle around with your DPI and see if that changes anything, but quite often it is just down to the fact that I'm doing big mouse movements and moving the TV as fast as it actually can move. I've got a big mouse mat as well, so it means I can do all these movements without having too much trouble. With all that said, I think I have covered absolutely everything there is to cover with the attack helicopter in Battlefield 4. If there's anything else, I really can't think of anything else off the top of my head. If there is anything else you want to know, let me know in the comments down below. I'll see if I can help you out. I can also link you to some better pilots and gunners than me who'll be more than happy to help you out. Hopefully you gained something from this guide. If you did, leave a like down below. Let anyone else in the comments know any tips that you might have. There's always something useful that someone in the community can offer. Thanks again for watching, guys, and I'll catch you in the next video.
There's a heli. Hit him. Pilots there just I don't want to be a part of this.
I don't want to be associated with this human error.